It was unrecognizable.
Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about Elex.
Amongst the ruins
It's a
of
new
the
game
old
from
world,
Piranha Bytes.
New factions arose.
It is available on Origin. It came out on the 17th of October. As you'll notice in the opening cinematic, there's some missing textures, low resolution textures, popping in textures. The graphics are good, but they're not brilliant. There's also some stuttering sometimes on the frame rates. I have only played this game for 13 hours, so my views on it are going to be limited. This is a role-playing game, so you have to take your time with it. This is just an initial preview to decide if it's what you're looking for in a game. For the gameplay, it has a lot of JRPG elements, which could be good or bad depending on your view on JRPGs. Of course, it is not straying too far away from the Western style RPGs, where you have weapons and equipment and you upgrade your weapons and equipment as you go through the game. That is pretty standard for any RPG. The difference is that in a Japanese RPG, usually the weapons and equipment determine the power of your character. So unless you have equipment, you're completely underpowered. It is not the stats on your character that affect your character's performance. So stuff like strength and constitution and intelligence, they're just used to open up the skills that you can use, such as more powerful strikes on your weapons, or certain magics, or certain skills for the clerics, or certain skills for the berserkers. Berserkers use magic, which it doesn't really make sense if we are following standard lore, but in this game I think that's what grabs you, because nothing is exactly as it is in other games. So it makes it interesting. It's something new. It's something exciting. So if you're looking for something new and exciting, this game might be worth your $44. I got it with a 10% discount on Origin. The combat is clunky. It is not something that PC users are used to. If you're a console user, you might be used to it. The cool thing is that it can be played with a joystick. So if you have a hard time sitting up in front of a computer for too long, and if you have some way to hook up your computer to your TV, which is not too difficult if your TV is near the computer, this might be actually a good game for you. It's very frustrating because of the combat clunkiness. It is cumbersome combat. You have to hit your keys at a specific time. And because there's visual cues to when to hit a certain key for the combat combinations, it makes it cumbersome, because you have to wait for the animations to finish before you can do something else, like block. If you're in the middle of an attack animation, you have to wait for the animation to finish before your character can block. So you have to plan your combat before stuff happens, and that's very difficult in a combat where you don't know if the creature will be able to interrupt your attack or not. If the creature is able to interrupt your attack, it might be a good thing to interrupt yourself and block instead of attacking. But your character can't do that. He has to finish the attack first. So that's a problem. And you will die many times because of that. The initial difficulty is set too high. And it's not set because it's a true open world game. Once you finish with some quests, you have the ability to explore everything. You're not limited to sitting in a hub and just waiting there, which is good in some parts, but for a beginning player or normal difficulty, it just means that you get to die a lot, because you get one shot from creatures who have skull by their name. A skull basically means that the creature is way too high a level for you. The creatures will chase you for a prolonged period of time until you break line of sight for a set number of seconds. So basically a preset time.
It is a healer's duty, especially in
You will notice, I will try to include it in the video, there is a physics glitch on some of the women's breasts. And it makes their nipples jiggle left and right in an unnatural way. I don't know if it's a glitch with the armor setups vertices, or if it's something on the character model, or if it was something that was adjusted, or maybe they tried to remove it and they did a quick fix on it, and the fix doesn't really work because it just makes the, well, let's say the cloth on top of where the breast is jiggle and unnaturally, and it doesn't make sense. There's also one more problem with the females. It looks like they only have one female model for the faces, or maybe two, and it becomes very apparent as you go through the game because all the women start looking the same. And it's not just a problem with the women. There's only 2 or 3 male characters as well, but that's not as big of a problem for males, because males have beards, so you don't see half the face half the time. So maybe that's what covers it up. Once you start getting characters with helmets on, the face doesn't really matter, so it's not that big of a problem. It's just the NPCs, the random NPCs you will find throughout the world. You'll notice that they only have different clothes and hairstyles. Overall rating for me so far, I've played only 13 hours in it. Again, I'm saying in an RPG you need to put in at least 60 hours to be able to get the full experience. But the first 13 hours to me are a good experience, good enough experience for an experienced RPG player who's looking for a challenge. If you're not looking for a challenge, this is not the game for you. If you just want something to breeze by, this is not the game for you. Like I said, this borrows a lot from Japanese RPGs where the initial difficulty is very, very high, and finding the gear is all up to you. You gotta figure it out yourself. There's no hints, there's no help. How to figure out how to complete the quests is very difficult. Where to get the quests is near impossible to figure out because there's no quest giver markings on your map. So you just basically have to go into a hub and talk to everybody. Try to help them out. It's very good for role-playing. I think it hits all the marks for a role-playing game. It's immersive. It's completely free, open-world game. There's no "you must go here now" style gameplay. No, you can go anywhere. You can join anyone. You just have to be high enough level to do so. And to do so, you will have to go through some opening follow quests, basically. But even then, you don't have to follow the guy. You can just, run away and go somewhere else. He'll wait for you at the city where he tells you he's going. That's the first quest that you find. There's another quest that takes away control from your character for a little bit, but you're able to run away quite quickly, and I think that just adds to the immersion. These guys have special abilities, and, well, you fell in their trap. You fell in the trap. You lose control in your character. So that's good. Overall design of the combat is lacking. It's mediocre at best. But since this is an RPG, the combat is not the main focus of it, and you are able to overcome the clunkiness of the combat with gear later on, especially if you have a lot of Elex. Yes, Elex, which is the currency in the game, and it's pretty easy to get Elex because you're able to gather plants which cost 5 to 8 Elex, and you're able to gather them really quickly. So you get 20 of those, that's already 400 Elex. So you're able to gather materials and cash quickly. You're able to get gear that way, but it's not quick. I recommend staying in the initial hub at least until you're level 10. Try to level up. Try not doing quests that are too difficult. If you can't do something, drop it and come back to it later after you've leveled up enough and you have enough gear and enough skill to deal with the combat shortcomings. And that's basically it. My final verdict for this one is 7 out of 10. If I gotta give it a score. I don't like giving scores, but 7 out of 10 sounds about right. It is not a must-have, but it's not mediocre. It grabs your eye. Graphically, not perfect. If you have low-end machine computer, it should work, but you will probably have to have low settings on it. And the anti-aliasing is not perfect. It's not great, even with the proper setting. So thank you very much for listening to me, and have a great day. I hope you enjoy the game.